Disclaimer, spoilers for the anime ahead. This is Jojo Character Bios, the series where we give you the full biography of a Jojo character and their abilities. In this episode, we'll be covering Narancia Ghirga from Part 5, Golden Wind. This episode was suggested by this commenter, so remember, add your comments and we'll be sure to cover them. Narancia is a member of Team Bucciarati. He seeks to help the gang to protect Trish, as well as fight with his Stand Aerosmith. Early life. Narancia was born on May 20th, 1983. At only 10 years old, Narancia's mother died of an eye disease. After that, his father began neglecting him, leading him to resort to stealing for food, as well as neglecting his education. Narancia ended up being manipulated by his friend into taking the fall for a crime he committed. After spending a year in prison, Narancia was inflicted with an eye disease due to the abuse he received from the guards. His friends spread rumors that it was the same one that killed his mother and that it was contagious. With no friends and family, Narancia gave up on life, resigning to the same fate as his mother. Luckily, one day, Panicotta Fugo took Narancia to a restaurant, offering his own meal to him, as well as taking him to the hospital to treat his disease. After a few weeks in the hospital, he spoke with Bruno Bucciarati, seeking to become a member of Passione, the gang that controlled all of Italy. Bruno rejected this plea, telling him to return to school and live as a normal boy. 6 months later, Narancia met with Passione capo Polpo, passing the test to become a member, as well as gaining the Stand Aerosmith in the process. Main Golden Wind events. Narancia is first introduced in Part 5 immediately after Giorno Giovanna officially joins Passione. Narancia is seen sitting at a diner with fellow gang members Abacchio, Mista, and Fugo. Fugo attempts to teach Narancia math due to his lack of proper education, but Narancia is unable to solve a basic equation. This enrages Fugo, who promptly stabs Narancia with a nearby fork. Narancia attempts to retaliate with his pocket knife, but is ordered to stop by Bruno, who had just arrived on the scene to introduce Giorno. Narancia's first real fight is his encounter with the La Squadra member Formaggio, with his shrinking Little Feet stand. Narancia encounters Formaggio on a solo supply run for Trish Una, where Formaggio ambushes Narancia in the back of his car, cutting his cheek with his stand. Narancia loses his cool and immediately counters with Aerosmith, dropping a miniature bomb in the interior of the car. Narancia notices that Formaggio has shrunk into his pocket, using Aerosmith's carbon dioxide detection to locate Formaggio's breathing. Formaggio attempts to hide in several locations, but is unaware of the carbon detection, so he keeps getting found out. Once Formaggio figures out Aerosmith's carbon radar, he is able to evade Narancia until Narancia is too small to deal substantial damage to him. Narancia is trapped in a bottle with a spider until Aerosmith blows up a car, lighting Formaggio on fire and returning to his original size. Once Formaggio douses his fire, a standoff occurs, and Aerosmith proves to be faster than Little Feet, ending Formaggio for good. Later, after Bruno betrays the boss and escapes from King Crimson, Narancia initially decides not to go with the rest of the team and stay behind with Fugo. But once Narancia realizes how similar he and Trish are, he gains a new sense of determination and swims back to the rest of the team, seeing Fugo for the last time. Immediately afterwards, Narancia is attacked by the Shark Stand Clash, but is unable to tell the rest of the team thanks to another stand, Talking Head, which is making Narancia only be able to express the opposite of what he wants to convey. The whole team is extremely confused by Narancia's seemingly nonsensical actions, except for Giorno, who seems to suspect that something is wrong. At that moment, Giorno is attacked and taken hostage by Clash, using Giorno as a shield to protect itself from Aerosmith. Mista is tricked into setting off a gas explosion, throwing off Aerosmith's carbon detector. Giorno inspires Narancia to go after the users, Squalo and Tiziano, rather than their stands, and give Narancia a spare tongue using his brooch. Narancia cuts off his tongue where Talking Head is located and replaces it with the spare from Giorno. Tiziano begins to panic upon seeing this, and his heavy breathing causes him to be found out by Narancia and gunned down. The fountain of blood from Tiziano's death gives Squalo the perfect opportunity to attack with Clash, digging straight into Narancia's jugular. Narancia boldly grits through the pain and guns down Squalo until he dies, and his stand disappears, ending the encounter. In the fight between Risotto and Doppio, Narancia's stand is vital towards the end. Because Doppio/Diavolo can no longer breathe, he is ignored by Aerosmith, and only Risotto is gunned down. Risotto retaliates by hijacking Aerosmith with Metallica, but King Crimson is too powerful and simply skips over him being shot. Later, in Rome, after finishing off the rest of La Squadra, the team finally corners Diavolo. One last obstacle appears in the form of Silver Chariot Requiem. This causes everyone in the vicinity to swap bodies. Narancia swaps bodies with Giorno, but they both keep their stands. But before they could chase after Diavolo, Giorno notices that time has been skipped, and Narancia had been attacked, impaled through his body with a broken gate. Giorno quickly rushes to heal the wounds, but detects no life in his body. Giorno slips right back into his own body now that Narancia's soul had passed on. The shadow of Aerosmith is seen flying through the sky, noticed by a distant Fugo, before it is revealed to be the form of a bird in the clouds. Giorno hides the body in a bed of flowers and leaves Narancia behind to avenge him. Abilities. Narancia uses the stand Aerosmith, which takes the form of a miniature plane, complete with pilot. The plane can fly away from Narancia over long distances, and has two main weapons, a Gatling gun at the front of the stand, and a bomb that can be dropped. It is assumed that both of these have an unlimited supply of ammo, but Narancia seems to use the bomb very sparingly, so we can presume that either there is some limit to the ability, or he worries about himself getting caught in the collateral. In times of desperation, Narancia uses Aerosmith's propellers as a melee attack. Aerosmith's secondary ability takes the form of a flying radar held up by a propeller that shows Narancia the location of carbon dioxide around him, as well as the general amount of carbon dioxide being produced. Narancia can manually adjust the sensitivity of the carbon detection to his liking. Aerosmith is retracted by Narancia when he outstretches his arms like a landing platform, and has Aerosmith land on his arms as it vanishes. Trivia. The name Narancia Ghirga follows the common pattern of Part 5 characters being named after Italian words for food. Narancia is derived from the Italian word for an orange, arancia, while Ghirga is just a regular Italian surname. Aerosmith comes from the 70s American rock band of the same name. The name was very likely chosen due to aero being related to airplanes. Narancia's stand cry of vola vola vola, volare via translates to approximately go flying or fly away in Italian. Araki has said that the pilot inside Aerosmith actually has a name, and its name is simply Smith. As an anime-exclusive detail, during the final scene of Part 5, the type of flower that Narancia was laid to rest with can be seen kept in a glass vase, along with other mementos of fallen characters. Names of copyrighted references are nearly universally changed for American releases, and Narancia is no exception. Aerosmith is changed to Lil Bomber in the subtitles and the dub, but the uncensored Blu-ray releases keep it as Aerosmith. Narancia was first voiced by Fujiko Takimoto for the PlayStation 2 Golden Wind game, then by Yuko Sanpei for All-Star Battle and Eyes of Heaven. Ever since the anime's release, Narancia voice work is done by Daiki Yamashita. The English dub is done by Kyle McCarley, who also voiced the dub for minor character Mark all the way back in Battle Tendency. Other appearances. Narancia is a very popular character, leading to him obviously being featured in several other sources outside the main series. In video games alone, he appears in the original All-Star Battle and All-Star Battle R, Eyes of Heaven, the mobile games Pitter Patter Pop, Diamond Wreckers, and Stardust Shooters, the arcade battle royale Last Survivor, and most significantly, a region-locked Golden Wind PlayStation 2 game that goes over most of the Part 5 story. Narancia appears also in the non-canon novels Golden Heart, Golden Ring, and George Joestar. In the latter, it is actually an alternate universe version of Narancia that uses a different stand, U-Boat, a reference to German war movie Das Boot, which was titled U-Boat in Japan. U-Boat is a colony stand of 100 miniature submarines that can fire torpedoes and dive into objects, similar to Diver Down from Stone Ocean. Narancia also technically makes an appearance in the light novel Purple Haze Feedback, but only in an illustration. And that's all we've got for Narancia Ghirga. This was a fan-suggested episode, so anyone who wants to see your favorite characters be covered on this, put it down in the comments and give us some suggestions, because we enjoy doing this, and we wanna make more of these, and we wanna know what you guys want to see. So it would help us out a lot if you guys were to give us some suggestions. Well, that's all for this time. This is Jojo Overdrive signing off.
Watch where you going, hold and drive. Let the downside up to top notch, whatever haters do.